A little bit aggressive, maybe.
Give me a number, Tim. I need to know what's the max you're willing to pay for Zane Anderson to be back on this roster.
Oh my God, what was he at? What was he at last year?
$75K,
something like that. 850, something like that.
He was on that minimum wage, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. One year, 1.2, something like that.
Dang, Tim. Okay, got you.
I mean, you're saying be aggressive, right? I mean, I don't know. He showed he can play safety, man. He's not just a special teamer.
Yep, I agree. What do you
think? He kind of plays with that fire because he finally got a shot. You know what I mean? So,
you think he might get a little bit of a bag and just lay back a million?
Yeah. Kick his feet up and just be head on punt team. No,
we just give him a pay cut and tell him run it back. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, I'd say they'd probably go after him for under 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be bad.
I wouldn't go above 3. That's where I'm at. I'd say like a 2-year deal worth $6 million, maybe 3 of it guaranteed. You know what I mean?
That's
and just try to, because you got a special teams guy, you got a guy who proved he can play safety in a backup spot there, right? I don't know. I'd kind of like to have him back for somewhere around that price. Now, here's the other thing. He may hit the market and come back like Tim's saying. He may hit the market and there be nothing there, and we get him back for a minimum, little, $100,000 guarantee or something like that, right? That could be the case. I don't know. I didn't plan on spending that much time on Zane, but every time I see his name, I'm like, he's a real person now. We know this. I'd like to have him on the roster next year if he's not too expensive. Next in the 4 spot is Jair Alexander with a 75.2, had a coverage grade of obviously he had a good year, right? Not Jair's best year, but the big thing is this right here, right? Paying all that money, only 361 snaps. We talked about Ja enough. I just want to point out he was our 4th highest graded defensive player, right? Because some people just want to kind of kick him out the door. I think there's a 50% chance he's here, 50% chance he's gone is kind of where I'm at right now. But we can't neglect the fact that he, played pretty damn well when he was on the field. The problem is just wasn't on the field. So I think if he's back with the Packers, there'll be a restructure. And they may be able to restructure that contract with some incentives in terms of how many games you play, something like that. That would probably make sense for the Packers to keep him around. But we'll see, though, man, because some of the trade rumors starting to swirl, whether you believe them or not. Somebody's putting a little bit of information out there to get the pot stirring. So Rashawn Gary, 5th best defensive player on the team, according to PFF, 73.0. This is that run defense grade we're talking about. Run defense, 72.8. His pass rush took a dip at 66.7. But again, we showed many times where it just kind of felt like he wasn't really turning it loose, right? He was the whole defensive line was kind of playing with a certain level of control to keep that run contained and also keep the quarterback from scrambling. So I think you'll see that number go up next year, boys. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I do.
Yeah.
I don't know how quickly or how rapidly, but I do think you will see a higher number for sure.
Right. I was going to say I have a better feeling about Rashawn's numbers going up this year if we were going to try to pull, that number thing we did with Kenny last year where we all got smoked. I have a better feeling on Rashawn coming up this year than I did, with Kenny last year for sure.
I do too. And again, pressure percentage over 13%. 10 is like when you hit the 10% mark, you're like, okay, this is an effective pass rusher. He was at 13%, 7.5 sacks is where he finished. The run stops is what I was just so jacked about, man. There were so many times it was all over the tape. He made chalk talk where it's like, here's a 3rd and 3. Kenny comes in or Rashawn comes in, gets a tackle, 2-yard gain, they punt because Rashawn came across the formation and made a tackle. So that's the big thing that stood out to me too. Next is Tim. Can you get me some music keyed up here? Number 6 on the PFF grade board, but number 1 in your hearts. Mr. Katan Ola Home Depot, 68 snaps in a PFF grade of 72.9. You hear that stem drop. 72.9 with a tackle grade of 78.9 and a coverage rate of 68.7. Only 68 snaps. But I'm happy with Katan Ola and how he played this year, especially in a limited role.
Yeah. I think it would be, you give him double the snaps, he'd be up there with Zane Anderson. I wouldn't see him much further off than Zane's 80. He'd be 75 and up, I would say, if you gave him another 60 snaps.
Yeah, definitely. And Tim, we had on our draft board our top 3 safeties last year, where Tyler Nubin number 1, Javon Bullard number 2, Katan Oladapo, number 3. We got
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Let Goody cook, baby. Let him cook.
Right. And Katan Oladapo was in the magenta, which meant this is an absolutely perfect fit for the Green Bay Packers.
Here's the guy.
And, there were only 6 of those guys on our draft board, and we got Tyron Hopper, we got Katan Oladapo, and I think that's all we got, right? So so we got 2 of the 6. We nailed it. Pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Next, Evan Williams as a rookie, 533 snaps, 72.5 PFF grade. Man, I think it's just awesome that you got all of these guys that we're talking about. If you do get Zane Anderson back in-house, you got Katan Oladapo for 3 more years, Evan Williams for 3 more years, Xavier McKinney for 3 more years. You shouldn't even look at safety in the draft unless on, when your pick comes up and you look up and you got a guy, this dude is 2 tiers higher than everyone else on the board, taken. I think we're good at safety.
What about a safety that we turn into a slot corner in the NFL? Because I've got a short list of like 6 or 7 safeties that I think might be on the board in those mid to later rounds. I'm just saying.
I like it.
Just a thought.
There's precedent, Emilio. There's precedent. What we do with Bullard, right?
Hey, I mean, you take the guy and you make it happen. But I mean, I think Tim is onto something. I think that we can move him around. If we tried Kalen King. If he was going to be a dog and we were going to play him, he probably would have came up and gotten some reps, right? So if it's not going to be Bullard, or if we're looking for a backup, I'm not opposed to that at all. And working with tweeners is kind of what the Packers like to do. I mean, it just sort of happens that way sometimes.
Definitely. Next on the list, I thought this was a pleasant surprise too. He actually led all defensive linemen on the Green Bay Packers roster with pressure percentage, and that's the human meat missile, Brenton Cox Jr. 187 snaps, 67.2 PFF grade with a pass rush grade of 66.4, tackle grade 64.6, and run defense grade 64.1. Those 2 numbers impress me because we know the knock on Brenton Cox Jr. was he kind of plays out of control in the run. And this year, I thought he improved on that tremendously, man. So
yeah, I wish Jacob was on with us tonight, man. We got to give him his props on that because he picked Brenton Cox Jr. A long time ago. We all know that's his dude.
Yeah, he was the one with the lighter, lighting that meat missile and just trying to get it to take off, man.
Just the tip, though.
I guarantee you, he's asleep against a dumpster behind the Oval Office right now, and he heard Brenton Cox Jr.'s name and perked up. What happened?
Yeah. So, he got a little ring in the ear. When you get that high-pitched ring, he heard it.
Absolutely.
Thick.
Devontae Wyatt, 66.4. So Devontae Wyatt's tough for me, right? Again, the pass rush grade, 71.4. You could see he popped off the tape. He's one of our best pass rushers. Definitely our best, as Goody said at his presser, at his year-end presser. Devontae Wyatt was their most consistent interior pass rusher all year long. The problem is that tackle grade of 42.9 and the run fit of 52.0, right? If he can improve on those, let me put it this way. If we come out next year and Wyatt grades out in the mid-70s and you see that run defense grade jump to 65 and that tackle grade jump to 63-ish, something like that, pass rush grade either stabilize or get better, I'm feeling a little bit better about Devontae Wyatt being the 3 tech of the future. I just don't want to rest on that, especially if you've got somebody like a Walter Nolan that falls right in your lap in the draft. I want that dude. I want that dude on my roster. So what do you guys think about Devontae Wyatt looking at these PFF grades? Do you feel like that's pretty accurate to what we've seen this year?
Yeah, I think it's been a little hit or miss. And I want to be talking about Wyatt like everybody's talking about Carter, right? I mean, he was in our backfield all game long. He was he was just a destruction. And I think Wyatt can do that. Maybe let's put on a little weight. Maybe he needs a little bit more technique or, different reps at your base. And maybe that new D-line coach can do that. And maybe now that he's got, the show, what Hafley wants from him, maybe we can work on, upfield technique and shedding and all that stuff, coming up with the new coach.
Yeah, maybe that tackle grade and that run defensive grade being a little lower, maybe those two are hand in hand. Maybe he works on some tackling technique. And like you said, if he's got to add weight, and then again, we have to see him in that 3 tech consistently too, throw him out there and let's see if he can cook. And if he can, then you add depth behind him and continue to build at that position. Cause like you said, Clayton, those 3 techs, man, they don't grow on trees. You don't see the true 3-techs, everywhere every day. So if you got to build one or work, a 1 or 2 year project to get one, in the trenches, you see a lot of guys play well into their 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, guys pushing 40, because sometimes it takes a while to kind of build that 3-tech body and that 3-tech skill set. And then by the time guys are really, firing on all cylinders, they're well into their careers. But hey, that's okay. I mean, we were just talking about a guy pushing 40, taking him on a 1 or 2 year flyer here, this morning when we mentioned Calais Campbell. So, right. there are guys that, can be molded. And I think Devontae Wyatt has certainly proven enough at this point that he might be someone to consider.
Yep. Yeah. And the thing with Wyatt, too, with that 5th year option, the reality is he's our best interior defensive lineman right now, right? So do you hit him with the 5th year option to make sure he doesn't hit free agency? And I think you can still negotiate with that 5th year option. You can still extend the player, I believe. I could be wrong. We need to get an answer for that because that might be the right move. Hit him with the 5th year option in case the negotiation breaks down and then try to work out a deal that makes sense for the team. I'm not team give him the 5th year option. But if you're trying to set the floor for that defensive line room, this is the dude you want to set the floor with, right? Because Kenny, there's a good chance Kenny will be gone next year. I believe that. Something else I didn't think about either. When you talk about post-June 1 cuts, you could probably get rid of Kenny this year with a post-June 1 cut. Now, the problem is you got to carry that cap hit until, a little later in the year like we did with Zadarius Smith. So it's not going to help you in free agency this year, but it will kind of accelerate the process of freeing up cap for the future. I just don't see him doing it. I think Kenny will be on the team this year. That's me personally. It just makes more sense for that. Run it back with Wyatt. I think either Wyatt or Quay will get a 5th year option. I'm still standing firm in that. I don't agree with it. I would rather them try to work out a team-friendly deal that makes sense for both parties, give them a little more guaranteed money, but obviously have them around for a little bit longer, at least have rights to them. But I just have a hard time believing Goody's not going to pick up one of those 2 5th year options because I still think of Darnell Savage. Like, I'll tell you this, Devontae Wyatt deserves a 5th year option way more than Darnell Savage.
Yeah. I hope Darnell Savage didn't ruin it for him, right?
Right.
Maybe I don't know now.
Yeah, Goody's afraid to date now, right? He's like, I've been hurt once, I ain't getting hurt again. You hurt me, Brett. Carrington Valentine, number 10.
Here's the guy.
65.5 with a coverage grade of 71.4.
65%.
65%. That's what I didn't even notice it. Yeah, this is my dude now. Lord, that went down quick.
It was he had hit it earlier when we had said 65 and we didn't hit the drop. So Chuck, that was for you, my man.
Yeah, and you were wrong. Chuck said we mature in LOL. No, we are not. Don't you ever say that again. So yeah, Carrington, I love the fact that he's going to be on the team for 2 more years at least. I don't know, man. If Ja ain't on this team, I think he's your best corner. That's me personally. I don't know if you guys agree or not. I thought Keyshawn played well this year. Definitely played better. But Carrington, man, I think he's closer to Ja than Keyshawn is. Yeah. Keyshawn's a little bit different top corner, a little more physical, right? Mm-hmm. But what do you guys think about Carrington? You feel good about him moving forward for the next 2 years? Obviously not as cornerback 1. You still want to go out there and try to find that guy if Ja's not on the roster. But what do you think?
I would agree with that. Behind Ja, if there's no Jair, then yeah, that's CV's your cornerback 1, and then Keyshawn's 2 probably, and then Lord help us after that, I guess. But either way, you've got to find a corner. Like I said, whether that's a safety who can play slot corner in a pinch, or a boundary guy that can kick the safety. I don't know, but somebody, we need depth at corner for sure. I don't think we need to panic and take a corner in the first round like I've heard suggested, but there is some corner talent in the draft. And we took a look at the free agent market. There's a couple of names, but I think Valentine, I think really highly of Valentine. I think there's things he needs to work on, but in year 2, man, he really hit his stride. He showed flashes his rookie year, but last year I thought was kind of a coming out party for him, and it had to be because we had no Jair for half the season. So
right. Yeah.
And I mean, were you mad at the defense from week 11 on? Were you mad at the DBs from week 11 on? Not really. No. Did I miss seeing Ja? Yeah. But Was I mad at the performance? No, I think you're right, spot on that Carrington at the moment's our best corner. Well, I wouldn't be mad at him being number one. Definitely a solid number 2, right? But you look at the difference between him and Keyshawn. Check the coverage grade, 71 for Carrington, 60.7 for Keyshawn. Your difference is pass rush, where Carrington had a 56, Key had a 92, and tackling, where Carrington had a 39 and Key had a 71. So right. That's your biggest gaps right there. If he didn't have that, would Keyshawn be up that far? And if Carrington made a couple more tackles, would he be down that far? I think that is something he's got to pick up on, run defense and tackling and all that. But maybe we get front forward the rush, he wouldn't have to worry about throwing his shoulder so much.
Right. And when we're talking needs, Carrington, Valentine, you got Keyshawn Nixon at corner. I personally think we need 3 corners added to the roster. I think you could add a starter to the roster and have plenty of room for him if Jai is not here. And then 2 backups, right? And probably one of those backups needs to be a slot, right, Tim? And look, if the board falls just right and you pick in 23 and the best player on the board is a safety that can play slot and it makes sense and you pull the trigger, you got competition for Javon Bullard and you just mix and match where you need to. I'd much rather see us take one of these early 3 techs, right, in the first round if the board falls just right, which I think it honestly will. I think there will be 2 or 3 options at 3 tech when we pick at 23. Now, doesn't matter what we think about these. We can put all this information in the draft board, Amelia. Don't make a hill of beans. It's what's a goodies board look like. Right?
I know. Why am I putting all this work in?
You know why? Because we're geeks. We're nerds. So, yeah, Carrington Valentine, a 65.5. Keyshawn Nixon, a 64.0. They're both going to be back on the roster. Here's a guy that set the hit free agency, Eric Wilson, 559 snaps, PFF grade of 64.3, had a pass rush grade of 71.0. He seemed to play Sam when we were in a 4-3. That was kind of your Sam backer on the strong side, right? Tackle grade 51.8, run defense grade 64.7, coverage grade 59.1. I would like to see him back, kind of like Zane Anderson. If you can get him, if he doesn't get any offers in free agency, get him and Zane back on the roster, help set that floor a little bit, the linebacker position. Aaron Mosby.
I think he would be the one I would pull the trigger on, Clay, just because he was the one we relied on when Quay went down with an injury. If Coop's not ready yet to have a dot, who's going to be the backup if Quay goes down, kind of thing.
It's a great point.
Mean, if it's Hopper, it's Hopper. Let's roll with Hopper. I'm ready to go. I'm excited to see him.
That would be great.
Right.
That would be, yeah, perfect. And listen, Hopper only played 18 snaps, but he did have a 60.7. Isaiah McDuffie set to be a free agent, 55.4. I would just let Duff walk. Hey, thank you for your service. Let's move on.
That's what I'm saying. I appreciate Duff, but check that coverage grade of a 46.4. That's where he got cooked. That's where, Saquon caught that wheel route. I'm not mad at him. It's just that's where he struggled in was coverage. I think that's where we need to get better at is coverage over the middle.
And if we don't bring Eric Wilson back, I think we have 2 holes to fill at the linebacker position, me personally. They're both backup spots right now. If you can land a starter, if you get aggressive, here's the problem with getting aggressive in free agency, like we've kind of hinted at. If you go after someone like, he's not going to be available. But let's say Bobby Wagner decides to play and he's available, right? Or one of the other linebackers that we had mentioned. And I've got my cheat sheet here somewhere. Let me see. I think he's actually the only linebacker I was truly interested in. But let's say you sign one. The problem is you're going to be in your nickel 4-2-5 the majority of the year. You're going to have to take Quay or Cooper off the field to get that guy on the field, right? So that's why I think it makes sense. Roll with the linebacking core you got. Bring back Eric Wilson for depth if you can get him for a good price, and then draft another linebacker as well. Let Tyron Hopper compete to try to pass Eric Wilson on the depth chart. That would be ideal. And you're kind of reloading, right? And who knows, man? You may find yourself in the second round again. Best player on the board is another Edgerrin Cooper. That could happen. You never know, right? Next thing you know, you've got 3 dogs competing for those 2 spots in your nickel 4-2-5 at inside linebacker. That would be absolutely awesome. So, Aaron Mosby, 62.5 at the edge position there. He'll be back if we want him back, that's for sure. Omar Brown will be back. He's on the futures, I'm sure. Preston Smith, 61.8. Obviously, he plays for the Steelers now. Carl Brooks, 61.7, took a step back. Carl Brooks looked like he belonged in that 34 front last year. Yeah. To me, it looks like he didn't belong in this defense this year. But we do have that moment where he blocked that kick, baby. That picture right there. I love Carl Brooks.
He did everything he was asked to, Clay. I mean, all those stunts, how many times did we say, hey, he opened up a guard
Yep.
Just by shooting him in the ribs. And so, a team player,
Yeah.
100%.
Where's the stat for that, right?
Yep.
Right. He wasn't really featured in this defense. He was that dude, hey, go in there. I need you to take that guard with you and smack that center right in the damn mouth. And we're going to loop right off of him, right? That was kind of his role most of the year. So another year in the defense, we'll see how he does. Eric Stokes, 61.3. Thank you for your service. Enjoy free agency.
Chicago Bear.
Yeah, there you go. Tyron Hopper.
Him and Zadarius Smith will be on the Bears next year.
Wow.
Exactly. This is the tough one. Kenny Clark, 60. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because we've talked about it all year long. Underperformed once again. We expected him to blow up in this defense, and it just didn't happen. Granted, many times he played one tech most of the year, right? We'll probably screw up doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We'll go back, and hopefully it'll take us right back to the same screen, but it probably won't. I want to see his alignment real quick because it felt like he was in the A gap the majority of the year. Is it going to show? It ain't going to show us on here, is it? No, it's just going to show the box. Okay. Just defensive line snaps. He was in that one tech, which is the A gap all year long. Right. And you could tell he was constantly occupying hey, we made it back. All right. He was constantly occupying a double team. And most of the time you could tell what half had drawn up is, look, if they double team you, Kenny, you just slide to the middle of the field, play a little touch spy, right? And I think that's why his PFF grades took a huge hit. But, man, you cannot deny the fact that only a 6% pressure rate, that's horrible. I mean, it's absolutely in a 4-3. If that was a 34 front where you're two-gapping most of the time, I'd feel different. But in a 4-3 front, man, you can't. It's bad. There's no two ways about it. So Kenny, I think's best ball is behind him, unfortunately. Quay Walker, 57.4, had another rough year. It sucks because there toward the end he kind of turned it on, and then he got hurt with the ankle. I think they're excited about Quay, though. I think he'll definitely they'll be in consideration for a fifth-year option with him. I disagree. I personally wouldn't slap it on him, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. 57.4 PFF grade, and then that 78 is his tackle grade, right? 64.9 is his run fit, so that seemed to get a little bit better this year. We've talked about what he does well is vertical coverage, right? PFF said his coverage grade is a 50.6, so that seemed to take a step back as well. So Quay, we'll see, man. Got to get that ankle healthy. He's going to be on the roster next year. Second year in the scheme. Maybe he'll blow up. I hope he does. But Kingsley Nigbore, 56.8. Obviously, the penalties hurt him a lot this year. Isaiah McDuffie, we talked about 55.4. Javon Bullard, 54.2. But I want you to keep in mind, a lot of these bad grades were playing corner. Yep. When you look down the stretch here, guys, playing safety was his bad grades.
Yep.
Look down the stretch here. Like starting in Detroit is when he went back to slot, right? At Detroit, horrible grade, 30, right? Then at Minnesota, he went back to playing strong safety, and that's that short week, wasn't it, Emilio, where he had to prep for a slot and then had to go play safety, 37.7. Yep. But these final two games, slot corner, 72.6, and then in the playoff game, his first playoff game as a rookie, 31 snaps, 75.6.
That coverage grade.
No.
76.6 coverage grade, 71.3 the week before.
Now, in his defense, look at week 9 against Detroit at the safety, graded out at 71.
Not bad, right?
Not bad. So maybe, a little bit of patience here with the boy from Georgia, let him develop. Maybe he can be effective in both spots and, obviously probably a better slot player than a safety. But as long as he can be effective as a backup safety, you can put him in the slot, build depth behind him. There's
a lot of value there that he can kick over to safety. That's for sure. So not everybody can do that. Lucas Van Ness, PFF grade 53.5, pass rush grade 68.1. This is of the entire roster. When I look at this PFF grade, it's the one I disagree with the most, to be honest with you. And again, I don't think that PFF does a good job of taking into account what they're being asked to do. He was not featured in this pass rush either. There was many times that he was crossing the face and allowing a D tackle to loop around. Sometimes it was Wyatt, right? And again, he was third amongst defensive linemen in pressure rated. Over 11% is the last thing I've seen. Let me double check real quick. I don't want to tell you guys wrong. Yeah, LVN finished with, 27 pressures. That was tied for second on the team. All right. And he only played 39% of the snaps, had 11.2% pressure rate, and had 3 sacks on the year. So I think he's going to be fine. He also had 19 stops as well. And when it comes to run D snaps, he only played 158 run D snaps. So I'm holding out hope for our boy LVN. I think he's going to be fine. I think that the more snaps he gets, the more comfortable he's going to get. How did he play down the stretch? Did he get any better at any point here? I mean, that's pretty steady right here, right? Starting in week 12, 82, 68, 68, 61, 61, 56, 65, then a 55. Like, those aren't bad.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to just, figure up, and I don't know exactly the formula they use at PFF, if you were to take week 12 through the wild card round, he's probably grading out in the 70s, to be honest with you. So at least the upper 60s in that regard. It's these 30s that got him, right?
Yeah.
Week 6, 30, week 7, 30, and then week 11, 33. So you can see, am I looking at this wrong? To me, it looks like he's stabilized in the second half of the season.
He had 3 bad games this year where he didn't tackle well. That's it. I mean, that's impressive. Dude had 15 games where he was in this basically 70s and up in tackling. That's awesome to see. Let's work on everything else now, because he was asked to do a lot. I'm sure everybody got a different assignment this year and different assignments per game. So you're walking into different techniques, different ideas. What are we doing for this game? Coming in at a 4-3 against this team. Now that we have a baseline down, I think everybody's going to be able to take a jump.
Yeah.
I think it's some of those overload looks we saw from time to time, and wonder if LVN's a guy that could kick inside.
He did it a couple times. Yeah,
he did it a couple of times, and hand in the dirt, power moves. I think it kind of suits his game. If we add depth at edge, we've talked about looking at the draft there and even free agency. I mean, if there's moves to be made at the outside, I mean, maybe LVN's a guy you could kick into the inside, and then we've talked about him and Rashawn on the same side, at the same time. I can imagine if you did add, edge depth and you've got LVN kicked inside, it gives you more versatility. I just wonder what that would mean for JJ and Igbare too. We talk about the edge position and Igbare having kind of penalty issues. Do you think we would see some shuffling up with the edge guys? Possibly somebody getting moved?
Yeah. You could, man. You could. I don't know, man. He played defensive tackle. He played a 3-tech at Iowa quite a bit, right? So he was able to do it at college. It's just such a different game in the pros, right? Those guards in the pros, boy, they will snatch your soul. You playing in college every now and again, you get probably 3 or 4 weeks a season where you go, I'm gonna beat the hell out of this guard this game. I'm just gonna rough him up, right? It's a little bit different in the NFL. Now, if you guys want to go watch his coming out party for LVN, go watch the San Fran game. Only 18 snaps, but you see a 93.8 pass rush grade. You'll also see him beat a double team and throw Christian McCaffrey out the club as he sacks the quarterback. That was a fun play to watch. So, all right, so there's the LVN talk. What else we got here? We'll get ready to wrap this thing up. Corey Ballantyne, 53.5, only 75 snaps. Kobe Wooden, 50, was a PFF grade on 270 snaps. And TJ Slaton, I don't know what the hell they were watching. To give him a 43 was like, again, just to put it into perspective here, okay? Pressure percentage on the Packers. Of course, it's going to mess up on me here. In just a second here. Let me get back to it. I want to say he had I think he had the second highest pressure percentage among all of our defensive linemen. Let's see here. Where you at? Maybe he did drop. TJ Slaton finished the year at 8.8%. Okay. Wyatt, 9.7%. And those were your 2 leading defensive tackles. So he was second amongst defensive tackles on the team at 8.8% pressure rate. Kenny at 6.8. Also, he had 24 stops, and he only played 38% of the snaps. So he had only 4 fewer run stops than Kenny Clark, and Kenny Clark played twice as many snaps as TJ. Wow. I don't understand what they've seen here. I really don't. For Kenny to get a higher grade than TJ Slaton, and it's not just, okay, the stats suggest otherwise. When you turn on the tape, TJ was blowing up the back.
I don't know how Kobe Wooden's graded higher than TJ Slaton.
It doesn't make any sense. So, again, they won't tell us what plays got graded what. So we're just kind of we're yelling at the cloud right now. Right? That's what we're doing.
Will you click on TJ real quick?
What's that? Click on it?
Yeah, click on TJ.
Absolutely.
Let's just see here. So had a good game against the Rams. and Seattle.
Yep.
And I honestly, it's probably just like LVN. The reason he graded so low because he had 3 or 4 games where he didn't tackle well, and that absolutely killed his grade. So I mean, LVN has like a 50 average as his tackle grade, where he basically lived in the 70s. Pretty much TJ did too.
And what's crazy is, like I said, the run stops. Like, that's what's got me kind of at a loss for words. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to watch a little tape here. We got 8 minutes. We're going to watch some tape. Tim, if you need to leave, you leave, man. If
I'm going nowhere. We're talking defense, man. Are you kidding me?
This is what I came for.
Defense and tape? Come on now.
So let's go to our boy TJ Slaton, Mr. Daryl Slaton. Let's go to the stops here, and let's see if it shows up on the tape. 24 stops, all right? We showed the pressures the other day watching it, and let's make sure we're just in the end zone.
Milltown Corey cracked it. PFF helping the Packers with low ratings on TJ Slaton so they can re-sign him for cheap.
Hey, I like it. Chestnut checkers, baby. So here you see TJ, that big rear end right there in the one tech. Let's watch this run stop on Saquon here. This is week 1. See him hold the gap, bang, right?
Thick.
All right, Taff. Nice little rep there. Let's move on to the next play. We may not have time to watch them all. Of course, we might if it goes rapid fire here. We keep this thing spinning. All right, here you are in the one tech again right here, right? Let's watch the run stop. This is still week 1. Look at that. You kidding me?
Off a double into a swim.
Look at this.
Grave Digger 2.0, baby.
Oops. Put him on his knees, man. Let's go. All right, another great rep there. Next, Eagles game again, boys. Holy cow. This time, he's kind of playing a 2-eye, right? Just a little, close to a 1-tech. He's going to be on this 2-eye. You got Carl Brooks playing that 3. When you hear us say 3-tech, this is what we're talking about. That's a 3-tech right there in between the guard and the tackle. Let's watch TJ right here, though, playing a little 2-eye, inside shoulder of the guard. Quarterback run. Look who chased him down.
Wow. Look at the feet. Great footwork there.
He moves good for a big boy, man.
He does.
All right, let's move it along. Oh, I love this camera angle. Are you kidding me? Look at this. Again, 2-eye. So they got him in a 2-eye, and they got Kenny in that's a 3-tech. So they got Kenny in a 3-tech on this play unless they shift. Let's see if they shift. They did not. So he's going 2-eye, double team. See him at the point of attack, right? Holding the double team. Look at that.
Getting off the double team.
Yeah.
Didn't get
moved off his spot either.
Right. That's what I'm saying. -1 hack count and still made the play.
Yep.
Look at this. Yeah. I want him back, boys.
I do too.
Sound like a jealous ex. I want him back. I got to get him back.
Holmes is absolutely correct. There's no other body type to replace TJ on the roster. I mean, you lose Big Tej. It's a couple guys are close, but you're going to notice a difference.
I was going to say there's a couple of those body types down at Freiburg's, this German restaurant downtown here. A couple of those big boys hanging out down there.
They can't run a 5.840 though.
Next time you're in town, Emilio, we're going to Freiburg's, bro. It is.
I'm down.
If you like German food, it's great. Here we are playing a 1-tech, maybe a 2-eye. Let's look at it here. That's a 1, right? No, it's a 2-eye. We're splitting hairs. Look, literally swam the first guy, right? And then next blocker shed him and made the tackle on Jonathan Taylor.
Did you see how far Gary closed that too? Like when Gary was playing edge, closed it all the way into TJ's left shoulder. There's nowhere for you to go.
No. All right, so here we are again, another 2-eye for TJ right here. No, that's a 2. We'll call it a 2. That's head up right there. All right, kicked outside, knows his gap, right? You've seen Quay come in and fill in the middle. Look at TJ going to keep fighting through the whistle, right? Bang. That's a good hustle play right there, boys.
Yeah, man. I don't see how we let him go.
Even when you're backside, you're not out of the play. Can't give up on it.
Right. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Is this him right here?
Yeah.
Yo, is that a 93? That ain't a 93, is it?
No, that looks like Kenny.
That's Kenny. Yeah. Wait, nope. Is it? That's Wyatt. So you got in this big mess right here, I believe, is our boy.
Yeah.
Yep. Look. No, that was him over there.
That was Carl Brooks.
Yep, that was him. So this is TJ right here in a 1-tech. Right? Watch him come all the way back across. Bang. Wow. I bet Aaron Jones felt that for a week.
He's sneaky good getting off the block, man, with the hands, the hand fight.
Oh, here we go. Goal line situation. Look at my boy right here playing a little shade, right?
That's where you want to see him produce.
Oh,
Big boy like
Wasn't
that.
that
you
the goal
want him
line
to-
stand?
Yep.
We goal line stood them. Yeah, I remember that.
Kenny went low, broke it all up. TJ just cleaned it up. Bang.
Yep.
All right, we got 3 more minutes.
Good job by Quay there being aggressive. Not happy feet, right?
Yep. All right, TJ in a 1-tech right here. I guarantee you Quay and Eric Wilson like him being up there on that defensive line. He got those blocks.
Yep.
1-tech.
Yep.
Let's watch it. This against the Cardinals here. Mr. Munchkin said, hey, let's change the play. Look at this. Oh, look. The running back set him up, right? Got him in the other gap. And watch this. Bang. That shed, man. His block shed is solid.
It really is. It's either he's got the long arms or he knows how to extend and rip, and it's nice that he can get his hands free, still make a play.
Can we just take a second and appreciate these wide-out jerseys, boys? Oh, my God. Winter warning. Here we are again, 1-tech against Houston, rather. Look at that double team. Look at that, bro. Again, I want him back. I
do, but can we? How much can we afford to spend, or how long? What do we offer him?
Mm-hmm. It to me, it comes down to guaranteed money. You can keep that cap hit low if if you went 3 years, $9 million fully guaranteed. That's probably better than any guarantee offer he's going to get on the market, right? Now, I'm not saying you should do that, but if you went 3 years, $10 million, 6 guaranteed, you could get him, and you keep that cap hit around $3 million, right? So, Again, though, he is a 1-tech. When he's on the field in this base 4-3, Kenny can now shift to 3-tech, and Kenny can be more dominant. When they're in their nickel set and TJ's not on the field, that's when you see Kenny play the 1-tech if they try to play a little bit of an over or an under. Look, here he is right here playing a little shade over the center. Yeah. It's good, man. You're seeing all these run stops. And this is what we're talking about with NFL Pro and why I take this over PFF. Have you guys seen one that was not a run stop yet?
Negative. No, I have not. And the fact that you're able to watch them repetitively, you can go back, replay it, zoom in, zoom out. I mean, it's everything that you need if you're trying to eyeball it. And TJ's performing. I mean, you like you said, how are you going to say that he performed at a 40 when you had some of these? Maybe it's the consistency, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but we're not hype. He got a sack from Caleb Williams right there. Come on now.
It's actually considered a run stop because he gained 1 yard.
I got you.
Watch this. This is what we're talking about a controlled pass rush. He's not trying to get up the field. Watch TJ. He's planning on a double team here, right? Occupy. Look how he's got eyes in the backfield. He knows Caleb's going to look to tuck that thing.
Yep.
Right. That's what you're talking about with a touch spy. And that's why the pass rush grades are down. And you can even see with Kenny right there. Watch Kenny on this play. Look at Kenny. He's just going to kind of work. Okay, make sure he can't scramble, right? Yep. PFF will look at that and go -2. All right, we're at the 120 mark. We'll get out of here. Let's watch one more. Look at him playing nose right here. Quay said, hey, man, do something here, big fella. And he does. Watch his. Patient, too, man.
Yep.
He stands up the center. He can stand up a guard. I mean,
yeah. If he's still engaged with that blocker moving laterally, it's because he wants to be. He's not.
Exactly.
He's not being moved. He's choosing to go with you until he gets off that block and makes a play. I love it.
And this is that zone play, right? Look at the whole offensive line moving that direction. Look at the lateral quickness that TJ shows right here. Watch this.
Yep.
And then patient, bang, off the block, helps make the tackle. Great rep there by Quay too. He's definitely a get off the bus guy. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah.
We'll watch one rep against the Lions. 0, right? Playing a little bit of a shade. Yeah, it's a 0. We'll call it a 0. Look at that. Come on. I need that dude on my roster. Need him on my roster.
Right now, who's that? Who's trying to block him there? Oh, no, that's all right.
What is it? No, here we go. Look.
Who was that? Panay Sewell? He just dog walked. Who was that?
Let's make sure. Here's Sewell right here. Right.
Okay,
tackle.
no, so okay.
So it'd been the guard. Now, actually, Ragnow, right? Because Ragnow's trying to seal it, right? There's kind of a little pin there, and then he's looking to seal off the backside with the backer. So, yeah, he fights through a double T and just wham. Yeah. There you go.
These aren't his highlights. Greg Rice was asking. It's not TJ's highlights. Those were just run stops, right?
That's just run stops. And what that's been explained to me as, like you hear tackles for a loss, obviously it goes without explaining, but with a run stop, the way it's explained is it's either 4 or 3 yards or less. So it's like those run plays where if you run the ball and you only get 3 yards, that's not considered a success, right? So these are those plays where the defensive line or a player in general is making those stops at 3 yards or less. And the reason that's important is because you see these high tackle numbers, you think, oh, he had a great year. But if the average depth of tackle is 5, 6, 7 yards for a linebacker, that's not good, right? Yeah. So you can have 100 tackles and look great on a stat sheet, but if it's not a run stop, you didn't have a good year, So that's kind of how I've always looked at that. But all right, boys, any parting thoughts? I think we got a lot done tonight, man. This was fun.
Yeah. We didn't even get into prospects or anything like that. And we got, reviewed all the Packers grades. I like that. Defense got better this year. We have to be happy about that. Hafley's gotten better, but let's see what happens when we bring the new D-line coach. And we want that front four to excel this year, to make that statement, make us make that jump.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. I'm interested to see Hafley and his system with another draft, another draft under their belt. Some new weapons and some more depth, man. I think if we do it right, man, we got a really good chance of getting over the hump here for sure.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, that's it. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. This is a lot of fun. We'll be back in the morning for Good Morning Lambeau, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Shout out to Josh Martin for the super chat. We appreciate you, buddy. Shout out to the entire Patreon crew. We're going to start tomorrow morning hitting on some of your all's favorite prospects. We'll show where they're at on the consensus big board, and we'll also hit on their PFF grades as well there in college football. So if you want to get your voice heard on the show, just join the Patreon group. Go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. If you're a member of one of the 3 tiers, then you get access to all of the chats, and you can get your prospects listed in there as well. So, Tim, Emilio, appreciate your time, fellas.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
All right, hit me with that Ben Johnson one more.
Get ready to go.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.